Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Too Many Opinions podcast. This is Jeannie.
And this is Sarah.
And this was the first time I actually did that
Good
with
job.
no issues after a
Round of
million
applause.
episodes later.
One and done. Good job. Let's
Wow.
get into it.
So first of all, we just want to thank everyone for the support we've been getting. Thank you so
Yes,
much,
thank
guys.
you.
We really, really appreciate it. But we're going to be talking about a little bit more of a serious topic today.
Yeah.
Sarah, do you want to go ahead and introduce the episode?
So today's topic is suffering in silence. And
Oof, that's
tough. That is a tough one. I may or may not cry. So trigger warning. May or may not cry. That's coming. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
But where do we even want to get started?
Okay, why don't we get started with what does suffering in silence mean when in a relationship?
Ooh. To me, in my opinion, that means that you're already past the point where you've communicated what is maybe wrong or what is lacking in the relationship, and there hasn't been that point of either change or initiative to change or fix a problem or anything like that. And then the person on the receiving end who's feeling this way, who feels as though maybe their feelings were ignored or whatever, are just dealing with it and staying within the relationship, even though their needs and whatever's bothering them is still there and it's not being fixed. So they're just suffering in silence because it's like, how many times can you say the same thing to your partner, even though you love them and you want it to be better? How many times? Like, when is enough?
Right.
What about for you? What do you think?
I think for me, suffering in silence, and it's only because I can't relate to it, but I feel like my mom can. I think suffering in silence is when you're in a relationship where you have kids and you feel like you have to stay because of the kids.
That is tough.
Like, if you didn't have kids, you would have been out. But because you feel like you have kids and you're maybe doing a disservice to your kids and you don't want to leave them without a family, you don't want to leave them without another parent, yada, 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 you feel like you have to stay suffering in that relationship to not disappoint your kids. And I feel like that is such a huge mistake. And I can't wait to get into that topic. Into that conversation.
That is such a good point.
Yes.
To make a decision to leave a relationship when children are involved is hard.
It's hard.
It
I bet.
is so hard. I mean, you've seen it from the child's perspective, but never mind the parent perspective. Knowing that you're taking away the family dynamic, knowing that like both parents won't be in the same home, knowing all of those things is hard.
It's so hard. And I feel like we should talk about it. So I feel like in today's episode, I'm going to talk about it from the child's perspective. And I don't know if you want to talk about it from a parent's perspective.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'm not a parent. You know what I mean? I don't know. So from a child's perspective, I kind of resented my mom for staying with my dad.
Really?
I did. A lot of the times you think, every kid is different, but for me and my sister, we couldn't wait till my mom left my dad.
And it sounds crazy almost because it's like, that's your dad. You know what I mean? Like, that's your parents. You would want them to be together, right?
Right.
You would think. Not saying that
You would think. I feel like you would want them to be together if when you saw the union, you'd see happiness. But when you see so much bitterness
and turmoil
and arguments and yelling and just people's vibes and bad moods, like, you want them to separate because you feel like maybe when they're not together, well, not maybe, but when I experienced my parents separately, they were the best.
Really? So when you had individual time with your mom and your dad, you found that time better than when they were together with you guys?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow,
I absolutely
that's
did.
fucking crazy.
So I couldn't wait. I would beg my mom, like, please, like, leave him. Like, I can't stand it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And a lot of the times I feel like moms stay. I'm sorry, I have to speak from like a woman's perspective. I'm not a guy, but I'm sure guys go through this too. My mom was so miserable. She was so miserable, and it pains me to see my mom stay and use the excuse that it's for my kids. Like, if we're like yelling to you, like, a lot of moms really think I'm gonna stay for my kids. Your kids are miserable because they're seeing misery.
And I feel like there's this saying that goes, your children deserve a happy mom, not a married mom or a mom in a relationship. That's not what they deserve. They deserve a happy mom or a happy dad. That's what they deserve.
Right.
And making that decision to let someone go when children are involved or walking away from a situation, knowing that the dynamic is now changing for everybody. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when children get older and they see that dynamic, it creates trauma.
Yeah.
So like if your parents were together all those years and then they separate, it's like, okay, hallelujah. But then at the same time, it's like, damn, I'm sure like you might have been happy, but it was also kind of scary, no? Wasn't it like, damn?
I don't think I don't know if I was like ever happy seeing my parents together because it's like, it was always an argument.
So they never had any peace or like, there's like no good times.
I feel like there was, I don't know if there was good times, to be honest with you. Now that I'm thinking back, like I remember us doing family things together, going to the movies, stuff like that. But it was, you always had that in the back of your mind that these people don't really get along.
Like they were faking it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because that's another thing.
Feeling.
That's another thing that I wanted to bring up. A lot of parents will like not fight in front of the kids. They won't argue. They won't. They act like they love each other in front of the kids. But your kids know.
They
like
know.
when you see genuine love, you just know it. Especially if you're watching movies and you're doing this as a little kid, and then you go back and look at your parents, and it's like, this is not what I see. You know what I'm saying? Like I know something ain't right.
Right. And it's crazy too because growing up, obviously my parents are still together to this day, 56 years, 57 years.
That's amazing. By
That's so, they were so young when they married. But there was like, I remember them fighting, but I also remember my dad sacrificing so much for my mom to be in the position, like to stay home until we were all in school, and then supporting her to get a job when she felt as though the kids were good. And so even though there was that fighting, they still had the dynamic of the family time, right? However, I do have to say this is that my dad was so focused on work and so focused on that my mom would be taking the lead. Like, so when it was vacation time, my mom took us. My dad wasn't always on vacation with us. So I would say a majority of the vacations was just my mom, my brother, and I going to either Florida or somewhere else, New York, wherever. And my dad was really at home being the breadwinner. So that was the dynamic that I saw. But even though I was frustrated and I would see them arguing, I used to kind of tell my mom, like, why do you do that? She's like one day you'll understand. Like it's not all peaches and cream.
Right.
So you do have to work through things too.
Yes.
So that's like the other side of it.
Yeah, and I could see that, but that's more like, I mean, it's still a problem when like all you do is work and you're not spending quality time with your family. But with us, it was more. My dad was never lovey-dovey with my mom. It was always like I don't want to, because I feel bad. Sometimes I paint my dad as his monster. My dad is not a monster. My dad is a great dad.
He's a great man.
He is. My dad is funny. He's super stylish. Blah blah blah. But
generous,
he's just not
like so kind.
Yes,
so
like
loving, funny.
The best with kids. Like my dad will paint his nails with me and my sister. He'll play video games with us. So it's not that he was the worst, but when it comes to like now what I know what a husband should, how he should be treating his wife, he was terrible.
Right.
I'm sorry. Like when it came to a marriage, he was not lovey-dovey. If my mom ever tried to call him like babe or something like that, he'd look at her like she was crazy. I never really seen them hug, kiss.
And that translated, that affected you guys.
Absolutely, because now I'm the way that I am. You know what I'm saying? Like
because that's what you knew and that's what you saw growing up. So that's the normal.
Exactly. And so that's why I encourage, again, a mom or a dad, whatever. I encourage you guys to really like think of your kids, but you have to think of yourself. Yeah. Because no matter what, it literally will translate. As much as you want to pretend, as much as you suffer in silence, as much as you don't want to like make it show, your kids will know, yo. Kids will know.
I believe that.
Don't stay and because you're miserable and you want to stay for your kids. Don't do it. Don't do that to yourself.
And I want to let you
know.
know.
Don't do that to them.
That my son's 1.5. He's going to be 2. He's like 18 months technically, but 1.5, right? Mm-hmm. And the other day he saw me crying for the first time, like with tears coming down. And his instant reaction was to come over and hug me and put his head on me and rub my back just as I do to him when he's upset.
See?
And he's only 1.5, right?
That's what I'm
so
saying.
It's like, wow, he was able to pick up and receive that I was going through it, his mom, and came to be there for me.
He understands emotions.
I'm like, he was emotionally intelligent.
Yeah.
More than some men that I've seen. So it was like, this is a 1.5 year picture, you know, a teenager or someone going through. So it's like, I believe you're absolutely spot on with that it does translate. So
it does. Your baby doesn't even know how to talk yet like
and
that.
He knew.
He knows his words, but he knew, yo, my mom is not right at this moment. Let me go console my mom. So you think that don't stay in their conscious? It stays. They know that you're unhappy. They feel it. You can pretend and you can do whatever you want, but it's like a dog, for example. Not that your son's a dog. Oh my God, no.
No, he's not a dog.
But for example, I don't like dogs. And my cousin's dog, I was going through a really bad like episode of anxiety and stuff like that. The dog knew to just look at me, and it respected the fact that it knows that I don't like dogs. She just laid next to me, like, cause she knew like I needed.
Crazy.
So it's like your kids know. It doesn't matter. Like it's the vibe, it's the atmosphere, it's the energy. Like they know that things are not right.
They definitely do. I'm literally choked up right here because it was like, he's, like you said, doesn't even speak, right?
Exactly.
So he could see that I was suffering in that moment, and he wanted to make me feel better.
Right.
So I think that suffering in silence can be detrimental not only to you as a person, but also to your children.
Exactly.
They are impacted by that. So that is such a good point. And I never even
Right.
thought that that's where you were going to go with this.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't
I know,
speak
not at
about
all.
this topic, so she kind of caught me off guard.
Not at all. And I think it's because I see so many moms, even on the internet, I see so many moms want to, like, I'm staying because of my kids, because of my family. I beg you, if you're staying and working it out with the partner, okay, because you guys are both working to become
Right.
better for your kids. But if you know it's not going nowhere and you're staying for kids, don't do it. Your kids are going to resent you. Your kids are going to grow up miserable. Your kids are going to grow up copying your same behavior. The patterns will never end. It's going to be the same crap. It's better for your kids to see, wow, my mom or my dad was strong enough to leave that relationship. Get right with them themselves. Get happy, or get into another relationship where now all we see is happiness. And now we have bonus parents and bonus this, and I promise you life will get better. But do not stay somewhere that you're miserable, because it will translate. As much as you want to pretend, you're killing yourself while you're doing it. You're miserable. You're not giving your kids the best of you, because it's just misery all the way around. You know what I'm saying? So, like, do what's best for you. It's like they say when you're on the airplane, you got to put your mask on before you put it on anybody else.
It's true.
You got to be right within yourself. You got to be at your happiest so that your kids can have the best life possible. So that's one of the ways that I feel like, please don't suffer in silence.
No, I agree. That was an excellent point you made. So let's like transition now to like in the dynamic of like those relationships where it's been kids aren't involved anymore.
Kids aren't involved anymore.
Right? Like, so kids aren't involved in your relationship, but you're begging your partner. You're begging, almost literally pleading to them, crying to them. It's like they're unresponsive, that they don't acknowledge that you're literally going through something or trying to console you or help you get through it. And it's like, you're just there. It's almost, you're lonelier when they're there. And it's like, you love the relationship.
Wow, that's crazy. You're lonelier when you're with them. You know what that is? Being lonely when you're with them? That hurts so deep.
Like, it's like a knife in your heart.
How can you be lonely with someone right next to you?
And this is the person that you love. My heart could literally come out of my chest for you. And you could feel that. So it's like that kind of suffering in silence too. Or even when you're pregnant and your partner's not supportive, you suffer in silence.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like when you're in a relationship and you're going through this, especially like either a married couple, whatever, and they're not, or even just like a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they get pregnant and they're not receiving or being there for their pregnant woman, they suffer in silence. Because what do you expect them to go and talk to everybody else, and then you're putting your business out there? So they're just sitting in the house going through this, having a life growing inside of them, taking it, like, it's crazy. So there's just so many ways that people deal with that.
There's also suffering in silence because you're comfortable and you're scared that if you leave the relationship, now what am I going to do? How am I going to support myself? How am I going to, like, get along in life? How am I going to, like, please, like, there's always a way.
Do you know what else? I'm so sorry. I don't want to just continue this topic, but have you seen 14 Reasons Why?
Oh my God, yes. That show was crazy.
If you guys, okay, so that show's on Netflix, guys. It's about, trigger warning, suicide, like high school type drama. And that also brings, like, screams to me suffering in silence. Like, this girl was going through it and I could not, it was so real. Like, that show was so real. And it's like, if you're in, this is for our young listeners again, if you're in high school and you're going through something, speak up.
Do not get into that mindset of snitching or scary or this. Speak the hell up. Speak up.
It's so important. And I'm so sorry if you guys are going through something and you don't know who to talk to, go to anybody. I promise you, someone will listen.
Someone will listen.
If it's not the people you want to listen, go to someone else. There are people who care and want to help you.
Right. You could even DM us. You could even DM me.
Absolutely.
Anytime you're feeling, you know what I'm saying? We will get to it when we get to it, but DM us. If you guys ever, can't find nobody to talk to and you're going through like one of those episodes, it's very scary. So for sure, do not suffer in silence when it comes to that.
Last one, and I promise this is it. military, for people who are in military, who have gone overseas or who have whatever, when those people call you and you can see that they're going through something, acknowledge them, because they also suffer in silence.
Absolutely.
Mostly men who have so much pride that they don't want to talk about what they've been through, what they've seen, what they've had to do. So it's like, be there for our veterans, support our veterans as well. This goes to all of you. Please, guys, just pay attention to the people that you love and care about.
Absolutely. Another way I feel like you could suffer in silence in a relationship too is, wow, my mind just drew blank. But oh yeah, like, so comfortability is one of them, and another one is hoping for them to change. So you're suffering and suffering and suffering for years and years because you're waiting for the change. You're waiting for the change. They're not gonna change, sis.
They're not.
They're not gonna change.
They're not gonna change. You got to take people for what they are at face value, and this is something
Yes.
I've had to learn. I can't speak for you, but I've had to learn that you can't follow the potential. You can't follow the, oh, they're going to change. Oh, they're going to change. Sweets, if they didn't change the first time you told them, they're not going to change.
They're not going to change. Or if they're not blatantly showing you the change, because people change. You know what I'm saying? But if they're not blatantly showing you the actual change, what are you waiting for? It's not going to be like a flip of a switch that just goes off. Like, they're not going to change. If they're not like showing it to you, then it's not going to happen. So people, please, no matter what it is that you're going through, stop suffering in silence. Speak up, lead the situation. I don't know, run.
Run.
But
run as fast as you can.
Do not stay suffering in silence. It's not worth it. Let me tell you this just to close off. When you die, people will cry, you will get buried, and people will move the fuck on.
Yep.
People move on, life goes on, and it's on to the next. Please don't be that person. You know what I'm saying? Like, please don't be that person that just gets buried and it is what it is for your life.
Right.
Live your life.
And focus on your happiness. And everybody deserves to be happy. Everybody.
Everybody deserves to be happy. It's not to say be selfish, but in a way, yes, be selfish with yourself. Because again, you can't be the best you. You can't provide people happiness if you're miserable. So.
Well, like, subscribe, follow. You already know what to do. Too Many Opinions Podcast. We're signing out.
Bye.
Bye.